the Untouchables being in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, were you? The story goes that you were being cast for a different character than the one that you played.
I was
in that?
approached to play or to consider playing Frank Nitti, who was the killer in the Al Capone's hitman, the guy dressed in white,
who gets thrown off the roof of the building eventually.
And when I read
spoiler alert,
right, exactly, for the three people who haven't seen the film.
That's right, exactly.
But I read the script and I was attracted to the part that I ended up playing, which was the young Italian kid in The Untouchables, you know.
George Stone.
George Stone. And obviously I wanted to work with Connery. That was one of my childhood heroes. So I lobbied immediately to say, no, I had to kind of be firm and say, I don't want to play that part. I want to play the other part and kind of roll the dice. And eventually I met with Brian and then I auditioned for George Stone and they gave me the part.
And what was it like with Connery?
It was the best. Pretty, you know, the dynamics that were in the movie kind of was the dynamics of, you know, we became all of us very close, but the dynamic kind of stayed the same.
How so?
In the sense that, you know, he was the older wise guy and he would always be jabbing at all of us.
You and Costner
and Charlie and Martin Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my job as my character to kind of fight back. So, respectfully, but keep the jabs going. So that was kind of the dynamics. I love Sean Connery. I'll tell you a quick story.
Please.
Because I've told this before, but it's very funny.
Please.
We were doing a scene where I'm answering a phone, and he was off camera because he was supposed to be on the phone. So I had to walk over there to answer the phone. He was dressed in his golf gear, ready to go play golf, you know. Sometimes he'd do his close-ups, you know, from here up he was Malone, and from here down he had golf shoes on, you know. And so I went over there and I answered the phone once, and De Palma said, no, let's cut, you know, we didn't see your face. I said, but the phone's over there and I'm over here. Why would I turn back? Please, I want to see your face. So I do it again. And this went on a couple takes. And as I was coming back to do like the third take, Sean Connery said to me, come on, kid, this is not Hamlet. So I looked at him, I said, okay. So then I went one more time and I finally got it, kind of struggled to turn my face around. It was totally a natural thing to do, you know. And the director again said, cut. And he said, Andy, Brian says, we only saw one eye. And Sean says, you saw two eyes, they're just very close together.
And then he went to go play golf.
Yeah.
Because he had a tea time.
Enough of that.
Enough of that. Yeah, I mean, he's played in one of the most iconic, old school golf scenes in film history with Goldfinger. He played, you know, a very important golf round with Goldfinger. He was a joy. I truly love that. Did you play golf with him? Because I know you're an avid golfer. I've never played golf with him.
Never. No, never got a chance to play.
Huh? How often was De Niro around that set?
He came in and did his thing and left. So he was there maybe like a week, I think, if I remember correctly. His work was done all together, yeah.
Right, the baseball bat scene.
The baseball, the courthouse, a couple scenes coming out of the courthouse. Forget whatever it was like a concentrated. He came in, did his thing, and left.
Nothing but a lot of talk and a badge.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, you know, the beauty
incredible.
of that script, which if you look at it structurally, it's a throwback to the Magnificent Seven and the Seven Samurai. Mm-hmm. It's a genre that's been used, a formula, which is one guy recruits a bunch of guys to go out and you know, right the wrong kind of thing. The Dirty Dozen, but they're all really patterned after, I think, the Seven Samurai. And the David Mamet script, which was a beautifully constructed narrative and storytelling, really had no holes, that script, you know, and that's what made, I think, that movie, aside from Brian's, you know, in the design of the film, visually, the script was so solid in its narrative.
Right, the Odessa Steps type moment with the baby carriage in the
That was all Brian, because originally I think it was going to be on a train somewhere, and they had problems with that, and then Brian said, well, I want to do an homage to the Odessa Steps, and we went into the Chicago train station.
Sure.
And did that whole thing, and it kind of started evolving, you know, as it got to that point where the carriage was finally and I remember Brian called me in and said, the stunt guy goes, what would you do? We want you to come in here and try to save the carriage at the last minute, but toss one of the guns to Kevin, one of your guns, because he's out of guns and bullets. What would you do? And I used to play baseball as a kid, you know, so I kind of looked at it, and there was a marble floor. And I said, in my mind, it's a little hook slide into second base under the carriage. It was not a big deal, you know. I had done it a million times. So I said, I'll do a hook slide. And, you know, they kind of went, oh, let's see it. So I went, I did it and caught the carriage. The stuntman had the carriage like 2 steps. Mm-hmm. I kind of did it. And Brian looked at it and he said, oh, let's do that. And that's what's in the movie.
Incredible.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.